Thank you, Tyler. Steve, thank you for joining us today from the FAA headquarters. Let's get straight to this. You guys are in the process of recertifying the 737 MAX. Dennis Muhlenberg, the CEO of Boeing, has said he believes that the plane will be recertified and back in service by the end of this year. What's your take on the situation right now, and is that an accurate estimate by Mr. Muhlenberg?
Well, first of all, Phil, it's a pleasure to be with you today. And as you know, the highest responsibility that I have as the FAA administrator is ensuring the safety of the traveling public in the U.S. and around the world. And that's going to be our absolutely first priority in terms of getting the MAX flying again. It's really safety first, and we're not on any specific timeline. We still have not seen the final systems description and safety analysis from Boeing. We expect to get that in the coming days, and then we'll see where we go from there.
You know that a number of other countries and regions, whether it's Europe, whether it's India, today the United Arab Emirates out with some comments about whether they will want to do their own tests in terms of recertifying or saying, yes, we think the MAX is safe to fly. Do you think it's more likely than not that the FAA is likely to certify the MAX to fly here in the United States, but it may be well into next year before it's cleared to fly in other parts of the world?
Well, it's a great question. I frankly think that this process really has been very transparent. We have involved an unprecedented number of international aviation and certification safety authorities in this effort, and we're working very hard to ensure that everyone is aligned. Ultimately, validating the work of other certification authorities is not anything unusual. We do it with respect to other certifications in other jurisdictions around the world, and I certainly would welcome that. Additionally, I would say that we welcome the scrutiny. We welcome the diligence of this entire process, because ultimately it will make us a more effective safety regulator and even raise the margin of safety in our system even higher than it is already at unprecedented levels.
Steve, as you know, President Trump has been very vocal about the 737 MAX. He has blasted Boeing, said, look, just rename the plane. Nobody's going to want to fly it when it's recertified. Do you talk often with the president about the MAX, and what's his take based on your conversations with him?
Well, I think that, I'm qualified on the 737 as well as a number of other aircraft. I'm anxious to get out to Seattle later this week and look into this myself and see where we are with the certification process. And I can guarantee you that the airplane will not be flying again until I'm satisfied that it is the safest thing out there.
Tyler Matheson at
Tyler,
headquarters.
Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Thank you, Phil. I do, Mr. Dickson. I know you're new to the job, and so maybe this is a little unfair, but I wonder if you have identified any flaws in the process of certifying that 737 MAX, either at the FAA's level or within Boeing's processes that may have contributed to the crashes that took place. Have you put your finger on anything that you think needs changing?
Well, first of all, Tyler, it's a great question. And with respect to the crashes first of all, my heart and my prayers go out to the families of the Lion Air and Ethiopian 302 crashes. These accidents should not have happened. And there does appear to be some common thread between them, but it's very important that we not prejudge exactly what the root cause was. But I certainly think that this whole situation has provided an opportunity for us to look at our processes, examine how the processes were executed, and put any appropriate changes that need to be put into place, make sure that those are implemented. I look forward to doing that in the coming months and years.
I also, it's Kelly here back at headquarters, have a question as well. There's been criticism that the FAA and Boeing were too close. The New York Times said agency managers made decisions about the certification based in part on Boeing's timing and budget needs. Was the relationship between the FAA and Boeing too close in the past, and will it change going forward?
Well, I can assure you that my emphasis is going to be on making sure that the safety bar is as high as it can be. And certainly in terms of my experience in the industry, I will apply the same things that I have learned in terms of regulating safety with the manufacturers as well. I think it's important that we are able to collaborate, and I don't think that delegation per se as a concept is a bad thing. I think it actually makes the agency a more effective regulator, and it makes the manufacturer a more effective and safer manufacturer. But how it was implemented in this particular case and in general, those are the kinds of things we need to look at to make sure that there aren't gaps in the processes and to make sure that it's absolutely as tight as it can be.
Steve, this is Phil again. One last question. Whenever the MAX is recertified, you know, and almost everybody expects that there is going to be a fairly large number of people who will say, I don't want to get on it. If I book a flight on a particular airline, I'm not flying the MAX. How do you convince the flying public that the MAX is safe once you recertify it?
Well, certainly my job, again, is to make sure that we follow every step of the process and that the airplane is safe for us to fly, not only in the U.S. with U.S. pilots, but around the world. And as a pilot myself, I can tell you that I will not allow this airplane to fly unless I would fly it myself and put my own family on it, and that's my commitment.
And Steve, just to be clear, you're going to be out in Seattle later this week. Will you get in the simulator with the modified MCAS software and test it out yourself?
Yes, I will.
I'll be interested to see what you have to say about it. I'm not sure you'll give us an update right away, but I think that has to be a first. I'm not sure how often an FAA administrator has gone into a simulator to test out changes with some of the software with the commercial airplanes.